Alrighty. The marathon begins again. Welcome everybody to this weekly wrap-up of wrestling and UFC stuff. Even though UFC stuff is happening as we speak. Always the problem of having to do a show on Saturday because of WWE pay-per-views on Sunday sort of cutting into the section, if you will. I'm just checking on some things, making sure it's working okay on my end. Trying to get some things going. There we go. Yeah. So obviously, fair bit to cover. As we build up to the greatest wrestling match never. There's a silent N, you see. I might have to go sort of in a few minutes to just sort some things out downstairs for my dinner. So I'm trying to coincide with this. Well, sort of, it'll be here during the show, but I'll finish it off and, well, I'll stop eating it. Well, I'll start eating it, sorry, after the show. But yeah, a lot to cover. Quite a few interesting things cropping up over the week. Certainly more UFC related than WWE. But first up, the recap of the week. I'll try and leave the AEW stuff until Owen gets here. He should be here, but he will be running a little late. So I might try and leave the AEW stuff until he's back. So, and the news and stuff I'll try and save for then. So yeah, Raw, the go-home show. Started with Asuka, ready for her match, but then out come Sasha and Bayley. And, you know, they hype themselves up and they can go to any brand they want because they're the champs. Then Charlotte interrupted, saying they're trying to go brand to brand like her but didn't have her stamina. And it's just like, okay, we get it. But then the Iconics interrupted and kept going about the triple threat women's tag match, which then got into a brawl with all six, which then evolved into a non-title triple threat tag team match with Bayley and Sasha versus the Iconics versus Charlotte and Asuka. Because, yeah, that isn't confusing enough. Asuka basically... Charlotte was ready, I think, to go for natural selection. But Asuka tagged herself in, put Billie Kay in the Asuka lock. Bayley and Sasha got taken out sort of midway through, and we never saw them again, so I don't know what happened there. And then Charlotte attacked Asuka, saying, "Oh, you've never beaten me." So then Bray's doing an interview, except Seth interrupts this interview, and he's like, you know, he wanted Byron to sort of give up his seat, which I'm like, considering everything that's happened recently, is that wise? And, you know, Seth sat down and just said, "Hi, Ray," and before we even cut to break, it fades out as just Mysterio just goes, "You son of a bitch." It's like, okay. So the medical update from Mysterio is that he didn't want to make any promises, but it's encouraging. He didn't want any more damage. His doctor basically didn't want any more damage taken to the eye. And said how he wouldn't wait for the end of the match to hit the 619 and go for it as soon as the bell rang to get revenge on Seth. And Seth threatened him. Well, Mysterio, threatened Seth. I'm going to kick your ass. And Seth was like, stop spreading lies. You had the opportunity to walk away a hero. But you continue to spread the misinformation. You need one more chance. So he invites Dominic and Ray to Raw this week, which I think is taped. I don't know. I don't think it is, from what I remember from the schedule. No, the ones coming up are live. Well, not live, but more modern, because all this stuff was taped 2 weeks back, as it is now. And that they keep sort of going on, and then Seth suddenly gets pounced on from out of nowhere by Aleister Black, and they went to break. So then Black and Carrillo beat Austin Theory and Murphy in like minutes, with Black winning with a leaping PK on Murphy. But it was like, the fact it was done that quickly, it was like, oh. And then Seth comes out in a Ray mask. And Murphy then gets, Humberto basically gets taken out with the ATL from Austin Theory. And then Murphy's Law from Murphy. Seth with a curb stomp on both of them on Black. And that's that done. Then Orton, interviewed by Charlie, saying if Edge was Christian's only guest on the Peep Show. And she said, yeah. And then he said... Basically, we walked off and she went, what do you meant by that? And Orton said, maybe there'll be 2 guests. So, Christian's Peep Show starts off for the second hour. Brings out Edge. And says, how happy he was to see him return at WrestleMania, then get his Mania moment. But the honest truth is, Edge is running on fumes. He doesn't think Edge could pull off the greatest match in the history of wrestling ever in his prime. They were friends and he had to be honest. Edge was lying to himself if he thought he could pull it off. And Edge is just like, you're going to pump the brakes? Think what I've been through. I haven't had a straight wrestling match in over 9 years. Now I've got to have the best match ever. It's like being placed at the bottom of Mount Everest with nothing and told, go. And, it's not the same Edge that would look Christian in the eye and give him confidence, because I don't know if I can go out there and even have a tag match. I know Orton's been wrestling the whole time and firing on all cylinders. I don't know how much I've got left. And Christian got in his face and said, I'm only hearing excuses. You're back just to give everybody some greatest hits, hit a few spears and go home. I know somebody that always believed in you, Edge. It was your mum. Or, sorry, it was his mum. I can't remember if it was Christian's mum or Edge's mum, but whatever. She sat at ringside for every match, and she will again on Sunday. I'm guessing this is obviously in the metaphorical spirit, because, does that mean Shotzi Blackheart is a mum? I don't know. If Edge isn't going to show up at Backlash, he might as well just go home. And the audience is chanting, and then Christian suddenly smiles and says, I just saw the look in your eye. That's what I wanted to see. We believe in you. It's the same look that you had when you put Orton down at Mania. You've got the anti-venom to deal with the Viper. We have confidence of you. We think you can win. We think you can have the greatest wrestling match ever. And I'm like, you had me at everywhere in terms of confidence and win. And then when you said greatest wrestling match ever, I was like, nope. And Orton just said, shut both up, all of you. Or shut up, both of you. Words in the wrong way. You know, all Edge is saying is he can try. That's pathetic. You know, I'll embarrass and humiliate you. I'll send you home where you belong with your wife and your kids. Edge's redemption is over at Backlash. And Edge just simply said, no, it's not. Dropped the mic and left. And turned from the stage to Christian and nodded. And that's good. MVP with a Chad Gaspard t-shirt. Getting distracted by R-Truth. MVP called him a clown, and Bobby Lashley put Truth down with a full Nelson. He could have pinned him for the 24/7 title. Then, the Street Profits Viking Raiders Decathlon. Which, Street Profits won the 1600 meter dash. The Raiders beat archery. The Profits won in solo cup flipping. The Raiders won in sword fighting. Street Profits won in hurdles. The Viking Raiders then win with stick fighting, which is basically them holding sticks and getting pulled into a kiddie pool and stuff. Then there was a dance-off, of which Ivar pleased the female judge, who said he was cute and that the other one not so much, because, of course. But the other judges went for the Profits, so they went up. Then the Profits won at shot put, so they go up 5-3. But then the Viking Raiders won at turkey leg eating. And then somehow the Viking Raiders won the pole vault. So it ends in a 5-all draw. So what we've established is we have to have a wrestling match to decide this shit. Dear God. Anyway, I need to quickly head off for a minute, so we'll quickly change to this, and I'll be back in a minute. No, that, thank you. There we go, I'm back. Fix the issue. So yeah, 5-all draw as I left it, and oh dear God. So what it means is we have to have a title match, except we're not getting one at Backlash because great. So Apollo Crews showed up, and apparently he's facing the winner of this triple threat that they're having next at Backlash. Andrade and Angel Garza make their way out, only to be attacked by Kevin Owens in retort for what's happened over the past few weeks. But eventually, it came with an interesting finish, which I think teases issues. Zelina basically got taken out because Andrade and Vega were getting into sort of a shoving match and a brawl. So she got knocked over by their disagreement. And then at the end, Owens managed to hit a stunner on Garza. Andrade drop-kicked Owens, covers Garza to steal the pin and face Apollo Crews this Sunday. Then Charlotte's asked about her loss at TakeOver. And Asuka came in and Charlotte says, "Is there anything you take seriously?" And Asuka said, "Yes, I do." And good old slapped her in the face. Proper slap, not fake slap like we've seen in the past few weeks. Garza and Andrade backstage and Vega not happy with either of them. Then Kurt Angle. I'm not reading off a script. Honest. The greatest wrestling match ever happening this Sunday on the WWE network. Just so scripted. He spoke basically about the chemistry between Flair and Steamboat and the chemistry between Michaels and Undertaker, the chemistry between Kurt Angle himself and Brock Lesnar, and says that Edge and Orton have that chemistry as well. We'll see. He picked Edge to win, but who? Then the Viking Raiders with Drew McIntyre, because apparently they're facing MVP and Lashley later on. So MVP's VIP lounge got interrupted by Drew and said, Lana and Lashley have had a disagreement backstage, and basically he wondered what MVP's doing with Lashley. Is MVP Lashley's Yoda? And wondered if he'd teach him how to become a champ despite never winning a world title. And, threatened to put MVP down. All of a sudden, Lashley comes out of nowhere. And then MVP tried attacking him, but McIntyre headbutted him. Then the Viking Raiders come out. And the Street Profits. Lashley and MVP win the tag match because it's not the main event. Lol. Eric got passed out in the full Nelson. Lashley taunted McIntyre. Ivar attacked MVP, so Lashley put him in the full Nelson. Then the Street Profits tried to stop Lashley but couldn't. And McIntyre said Sunday would be a war. I don't care. And Saxton apparently said, in addition to the greatest wrestling match ever, we might get the greatest fight ever with Lashley and McIntyre. Well, didn't need that. And then Charlotte and Asuka was given nearly half an hour. The annoying thing is Banks and Bayley showed up to watch this for whatever reason. Except midway through, the Iconics suddenly showed up and attacked them. And then when they came back from break, apparently all 4 women had been barred from ringside. So why were they there in the first place when they already did the angle for that earlier on in the night? This was a very good match between the two of them. I'd say stronger than the NXT match. I know some people would disagree, but I think it was really good and strong and delivered. The sad thing was the finish, because after like 26 minutes, all of a sudden, Nia Jax decided to show up, jump on the apron, and because of this, Asuka took her down with a hip attack that she does. Charlotte then gave Asuka the big boot, and that was it. No figure eight, no natural selection, just a big boot. That was enough to beat Asuka, because... And then Jax gave Asuka a Samoan drop. So Nia looks on top, so please God let Asuka win tomorrow, for the love of God. The clear thing to me, though, from this is Charlotte versus Asuka is clearly being penciled in for SummerSlam. And I'm like, why? Can Charlotte be involved in something that isn't involving a title? Because I'm starting to get sick of it. I have no problem with her as a wrestler. It's the she's becoming the female Roman Reigns and the female John Cena. She's being pushed far too many times to not let other people have the appropriate opportunities. Because it's just Charlotte. Because, lol. So I'll save the AEW stuff for if and when Owen gets in. So we'll jump to Impact now. Which started on the continuation of the previously on, which was the Ace Austin becoming number one contender. And Scott D'Amore and Don Callis are debating on what to do in terms of the title situation. Then we have a triple threat, which really did deliver. Shamrock, Elgin, and Callahan. Really good. Elgin getting the win with the Elgin Bomb on Shamrock. And Shamrock and Callahan had the stare off before Callahan disappeared with his blah 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 blah. You know, like the bloody... It's the old Bray Wyatt stuff. Then Jordan Grace is being interviewed, saying that all she's done in the last month was study and train, and she's ready to go back competing. Desmond and Wentz talk about becoming number one contenders, but Trey Miguel was angry about who jumped him. And said that they'd seen Ace Austin in the bathroom while Trey was being attacked, and Wentz tried to bring up Reno Scum, which is interesting. But then the North showed up and said, Rascals face the North next week for the titles. And then maybe the North attacked Wentz. And the North are like, we weren't even in the country. Maybe Wentz did it because he didn't want Trey to be the first champion of the group. So we're planting the dissension. Meanwhile, you know, doing everything. Tasha Steelz beat Susie. Basically, thanks to a Kira Hogan distraction, which allowed Tasha to sneak up with the Occur. Pretty solid match, even though it was somewhat brief. Then there was supposed to be an Ace Austin interview, but he did a Conor McGregor basically and waited. And you know, he's the number one contender, but since Tessa isn't coming to work, he's the rightful champ. And then Moose again says, you know, Slammiversary should be challenging me, and Ace said, You know, fair play. It is a good looking belt. And then Hernandez said, Hernandez showed up and said, "I want a match for that title next week." And Moose walked away. Good idea. Why is Hernandez still here? Get rid of him, please. So Tasha and Kira are celebrating after the win. Gianna Parazzo's arrived at the venue, by the way. That comes up in a bit. Havoc and Nevaeh show up to Tasha and Hogan. And Havoc and Nevaeh want a match with them. But Hogan said Tasha just had a match, so maybe later on. The Impact Plus flashback moment was Mike and Maria Bennett's debut. Because, okay. Rohit Raju confronted Rhino about the attack. And Rhino said, you know, you're always crying about not being given anything, so that's why I jumped you. This logic is, like, all over the place. Willie Mack and Cousin Jake, beating Chris Bay and Johnny Swinger. Good match for what it was. Swinger going for the swinger net breaker, but Mack managed to reverse it into the stunner, of all things. And then Bay and Swinger jump them afterwards, but Cody Deaner comes in for the save. Back to Rosemary and Johnny Bravo again. Rosemary once again trying to get that poison apple into the mouth of Bravo. But Taya then personally showed up to interrupt rather than be on a call. And said, you know, why aren't you welcoming me back with a party? And Rosemary stood up for him. Taya told them both off and gave Rosemary a micro brawler as a present. And then told Taya she had a gift for her for tonight's title shot. So then Scott D'Amore comes out to address the world title situation. You know, they have a number one contender already in Ace Austin, but Tessa Blanchard's still not in the building. So then Ace Austin came out to interrupt. And you know, said, well, clearly I'm going to be the new champion because the champion doesn't show up. And then Elgin showed up and said, you know, the title was rightfully his. And if Elgin wants it, he's got to go through him. Then Eddie Edwards showed up and said, you know, I belonged in that Rebellion match that didn't happen. So I still have a title shot reserved for me. And Scott D'Amore basically says, nobody gets handouts in this company. And if any of them want to be champs, because they're going to have to fight for it. Because at Slammiversary, just to really confuse matters even more, it's going to be a 5-way. Tessa Blanchard will apparently be there, defending against previous number one contender Eddie Edwards, previous number one contender Michael Elgin, current number one contender Ace Austin, and guy who was screwed out of number one contendership, Trey Miguel, who then jumps Ace Austin, and they have a giant brawl. Then Gia Miller trying to interview Gianna Parazzo, but the locker room was empty. Here comes Cancel Culture, along with Jacob Christ and RVD and Katie Forbes, saying that Christ is a new man. And tonight, mentally unwell Steven will be taught a lesson, which Jacob Christ actually won. It was thanks to a distraction from Joseph Ryan. There was a kick combination that put Steve down, and you know, Chris finally wins, but it wasn't that impressive, in all honesty. So, in the match that we should have had at Rebellion, Taya Valkyrie and Jordan Grace for the title, which Jordan came in for the attacks at the start. Grace basically, it was an interesting finish as well. Taya was going for the sharpshooter but couldn't lock it in. Went for the road for Valhalla but Grace fought out of it. Clothesline Taya a few times. Put on the sleeper hold. Taya submitted. So Jordan Grace retains. Worth noting, Rosemary and Johnny Bravo, for all this, were talking to each other all the time and not paying attention to her, so I guess we got more machinations going on with that. And then Deonna Purrazzo shows up and goes face to face with Jordan Grace and said that her intentions were the title. Offered a handshake, which was going to be accepted, but Deonna Purrazzo took down Grace with a very brutal looking armbar. And that's how the show went off the air. They actually ended with the women. But they didn't, because it's as if it's Lucha Underground. I'm not going to play the music. Elgin's on the phone, talking with somebody from Canada, who he referred to as Sir, and said that us Canadians have always been team players. So my guess maybe is Lance Storm. Maybe, because we know there is some sort of thing there, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I've got to quickly get my dinner sorted. So again, I'll have to take a quick pause for a little bit. I'll be back in a few minutes. This time, I'll leave you in the capable hands of Dennis! I'll see you in a few minutes. Can you believe it? Dennis actually got mother flipping booked. Anyway, back to me. Viewership goes down. Right. So, Impact done. NWA Carneyland had a very interesting start because Eddie Kingston started up saying it's time to stop with the racism. You know, a very good sort of, racial equality message and whatever. No black man, woman, or child should fear for their child every day in their own country just because of the colour of their skin. Let it go. Stop. You're wrong. There's nothing else to it. We're all human beings. We all bleed. We all die. We all laugh. We all cry. He understands anger, but will never understand the anger that all African Americans are feeling right now, and won't act like he does. Sorry, he won't act like he does. But he knows anger. Born angry and lived angry for many years. All it did was eat him up inside and never won anything. He used to throw up every fight because he was filled with anger. He was hurting because of his anger and hatred, and knows about hatred, and all it did was hurt him and the ones he loved until he found something he enjoyed and entertained him, which was pro wrestling. As a kid, he'd watch Monday nights and wait for ECW to come on the MSG network, as he wasn't on the street because he wanted to be entertained. So from this point forward, every match he has, every promo, whatever Kingston does in pro wrestling is dedicated to all those that have lost loved ones because of racism, and every young black male and female who have died because of racism. It's all dedicated to them. So a serious start. Then, here's the bloody Mayor of Carneyland rubbish. So, Strictly Business is talking, saying how they're going to be running for mayor. Something's going on, Royce Isaacs, Camille, Tarman, all doing their sort of ads and whatever. Then, apparently, the format of the election is revealed, with a primary phase, and the top two vote getters will face off for the mayorship. Joe Galley will not be running, as the media will be important and must be fair and impartial. Then gets a telegram from future Stu Bennett, saying that no matter where he is, he'll always point out how Joe is not fair and impartial. Okay, then Eli Drake appears at a campaign rally, because of course he's campaigning. Then Zicky Dice shows up, campaigning. Then some taking the time with a question mark. Apparently somebody from Paris, Tennessee's on the line and asking dating advice on somebody that she met on Bumblebee, which is Mongrovia's #1 dating app. Can she trust the guy? And his answer is Pineapple Armageddon. Yes! Somebody get a pineapple and put WWE's Armageddon DVD into it. That is the ultimate Pineapple Armageddon. I love it, Maggle. Nick is at his computer, saying how it's not going well. Then they have a ad for NWA Into the Fire on DVD, as well as Marty Bell's new shirt. Josephus wants to run for Mayor of Carneyland, even though he's not part of the NWA. Then some true Carneyland story shows up, with May talking about her life before Royce in Vegas and various things. But she tells some interesting stories, but says not to tell Royce, because what happens in Carneyland stays in Carneyland. Clearly doesn't, because who gives a damn about the mayor? Then Thunder Rosa is campaigning to be mayor. Then Aaron Stevens with the Monrovia en masse talking about the trade and commerce. Nobody trades with Monrovia, but they make contributions to the world, Monrovia does, and the greatest export is karate, which the question mark is one of the greatest practitioners of. A 10th degree black belt in Mongrovian karate. And when you earn that rank, you don't even wear a belt anymore. And Mongrovian karate is so secret, the only person to practice it outside of Monrovia is Aaron Stevens himself, who is a 3rd degree black belt. Then Aaron Stevens is going to be mayor of Carneyland. Then Esther Addington, who apparently lost the election for mayor of Burlington, Vermont, in 1981 by 10 votes. So she's running for mayor. And then apparently Alison Kay is also running for mayor. Then all those names are confirmed. And then they're trying to find out who from Strictly Business is going to be the contender. And then a telegram from future Stu Bennett shows up and says, water your plants and get some throat spray. And then, as it turns out, it's actually Nick Aldis that's going to be running for mayor. Because apparently Camille's destroyed the women's demographic and Tom's not polling with anybody alive. So, yeah. Stupid shit has ensued. Next week, one person is going to drop out the race, apparently, as told by 7 days in the future Stu Bennett. This is getting problematic. What MLW is doing is interesting. And, the bit at the start with Eddie Kingston, feels genuine and from the heart, like a lot of Kingston's promos over the last few years. But instead, we've got to do this Carney stuff because that's really going to, none of this will matter when NWA comes back. So, I don't know. Thanks to 411 Mania for getting the sort of notes from that, because that show is sort of complicated and all over the place, in all honesty. And please, somebody actually has notes for these shows. Especially because it was up on a completely different day to what it was last week. Because as I say, last week was like other clips because they were still campaigning. Even though they clearly weren't, because we didn't know who even was running. So, great. NXT, the fallout from TakeOver. Started with Undisputed Era. Well, basically Adam Cole. I'm so happy that Dream can't challenge him anymore. And said he isn't worried about, who's next. But then brought up Dexter Lumis saying how, Fish and Strong were freaking out about having them being dumped in the back of the car. And then all of a sudden he thought he saw Lumis in the crowd, but he isn't there, apparently. And said how he's going to, Adam Cole's going to defeat Dexter tonight. And then all of a sudden, Lumis actually was there. Just sneaky shoots and whatever. Cole's trying to pep talk Strong backstage. And Keith Lee basically says, I'm interested in that title, Adam. And Strong got angry and Cole basically said, calm down. So then we have the mixed tag match, which Candice and Johnny win over Mia Yim and Keith Lee. Basically, it was interesting. Lee basically went to check on Mia Yim, got super kicked by Gargano. But then, when the slingshot DDT was delivered, Lee managed to fall on Candice, and Lee was, very, shaken by this and picked up Candice, very sort of Hulk Hogan, Miss Elizabeth style, back from 30 years ago on Saturday night's main event, and Gargano sneaked in, schoolboy, stole the win. Cameron Grimes is being interviewed, and Damian Priest just punches him because, okay. Then a vignette for Io becoming the new women's champion. Then Indus Sher show up, taking on Mike Reed and Mikey Del Bray because jobbers. Then apparently Drake, the ref, Drake Wirt, found Grimes outside the building. He was video chatting with Regal about Cameron Grimes, saying how he claims to have a broken jaw after being punched by Priest, and that he was unlikely for his match with Balor later on in the show. And Regal said, okay, go and find him, I need to have a word with this. And Drake found Grimes outside trying to chat up some women. And Drake held up the tablet so Regal could speak to him. And all of a sudden he went from chatting up the women to, oh my word, it hurts so much. And Regal basically said, warm up, get ready for your match. It's still happening. Then we had a Breezango profile and mentioning how they won a number one contenders match, so they're going to face Imperium for the NXT tag titles, apparently, next week. Robert Stone, backstage, still out of sorts, trying to recruit Rhea Ripley. And she says, the chances of me joining are 1 in a million, and then of course, Dumb and Dumber style, Stone just goes, you're saying there's a chance? And she took him out, body slamming him into a crash can, because... Then Balor beats Grimes, which I guess means it's 1-1, which means they have to face each other again. Balor winning with the coup de grace, followed by the 1916. Then looked into the camera and called out Keith Lee. Should be an interesting match. Dakota Kai then beat Casey Catanzaro. Go to kick was good enough for Kai to get the win. Then there was a 2-on-1 beatdown, but Caden Carter ran in for the save. Except then Caden Carter got beaten up. Then El Hijo de Fantasma showed up for a promo in the ring, but was interrupted by Drake Maverick, and wanted to congratulate Fantasma on the win, but also wondered if his mind was actually clear. That because he had a job now, would he manage it differently? And Maverick challenged Phasma to a title match and says, I can beat you. But then, as Phantasma was agreeing to the match, 2 masked men showed up and surround the ring. And Phantasma beats the crap out of Drake Maverick. Masked Man number 1 takes off his hood. It's Joaquin Wilde. Masked Man number 2 takes off his hood. It's Raul Mendoza. Then Phantasma executed his Phantom Driver on Maverick and unmasked himself. While Mendoza and Wilde did stereo splashes on Maverick and grabbed the mic. I am Santos Escobar. What a name. Let's make him heel because we'll give him the surname of a drug dealer. I am Santos Escobar. I am the NXT Cruiserweight Champion, and no one can touch me. So what are we calling these? What are we calling this team? The Cartel? We're doing the drugs? I bet that'll be really happy for Vince's favourite man, the Donald. We're not doing stereotypes here. Now, apparently next week we're also getting a women's tag team title match, because Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart will be challenging whoever wins at Backlash tomorrow. Which is interesting because Backlash was already taped, so I guess we already know, but they don't, but they do, but they don't. And then Adam Cole, Dexter Lumis. It was weird because it's Dexter Lumis and that's all the character stuff is. Basically, he kept stalking Cole. Cole basically eventually got the upper hand, but then Lumis made a comeback, crept under the ring for a sneak attack on Cole. Caught Cole with a spine buster. Went for a swanton bomb, which Cole got his knees up on. Sam Shaw doing a swanton bomb. What the hell? So despite all that, Lumis somehow managed to put on the sleeper hold on, but Strong interfered without the ref seeing. Then the last shot was delivered by Cole. Cole gets the win. Lumis attacks again, putting his sleeper on Cole. Strong and Fish beat him up. Then Velveteen Dream suddenly shows up. Beating down on Fish. Well, Cole first, but then focusing on Fish. Then Lumis is scaring the hell out of Roddy Strong, and Strong runs away. All the smoke clears and whatever from Loomis's deal, and Cole's celebrating and saying, "Haha, no one can stop me." And the lights go out, and they come back on, and Scarlett Bordeaux is just standing at the top of the stage. And Fall and Pray starts chanting, and she just walks slowly down to the ring. And all of a sudden sort of pulls out, I mean, she had it with her, but you couldn't properly see what it was. She gradually brings up onto the apron and into the ring an hourglass. And slowly and surely turns the hourglass so it starts the sands of time start passing, tick tock, as the NXT universe chants. So I like the match itself. I don't know what to think. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just something. But the end with, you didn't even need to have Karrion Kross on the show. You just had Scarlett show up with an hourglass, and the symbolism of the whole, the time is ticking, time is running out, is enough to, like, that's a pretty good way to symbolize that, in all honesty. I'm just trying to see if I can you won't be able to hear it, but I'm trying to see if I can get Owen on the call. Maybe not. Because I see he's popped up sort of available on Discord, so I'm trying to sort of do that in the background if I have to. Either way, I'll quickly jump to SmackDown for hopefully we get Owen on to talk about the AEW stuff. So SmackDown was genius in such a bad way. For the opening segment, the Jeff Hardy Sheamus contract signing. And Sheamus comes out first with a doctor, load of security, and a curtain. And Sheamus apologised of what's about to happen. Because then Hardy comes out and Sheamus apologises for Renee for what's about to happen. In more ways than one. Hardy says how Sheamus tried to fame him and not even Sheamus' security can help him, and it says, they're not here to protect me, they're here for you. I demand, Jeff, that you have a drug test right now or I won't sign the contract because I'm not going to get in the ring with a junkie. Hardy then admitted to being an alcoholic and goes to a meeting every week. I want to be a beacon of light for people like me, and agreed to take the drugs test just to ensure that he gets the Sheamus match. So Sheamus brings in this doctor who's going to administer a rapid test. Normally it takes 24 hours to get the results, but this doctor, he is a piss god. I'll get to this in a minute. I'm just describing what happened. So Hardy went behind the curtain, somehow managed to fill up the entire jar. How, like a whole beaker. Like this big. Considering how most urine samples are sort of mainly sort of in a tiny sort of container, I have no clue what was going on there. And Sheamus did some sort of drug PSA thing and mocked Hardy and said, oh, he's going to fail. So then Hardy gets the grabs the jar of urine, throws it on Sheamus. Hardy signs the contract, leaves. Sheamus, stumbling around the ring and went crazy. Afterwards, he's in the bathroom rinsing out his mouth. And the doctor shows up, apparently, and says that Hardy has passed the drug test and Sheamus is angry. This was terrible. Mainly because, just the whole concept of it is just stupid. I still don't like the whole bringing up Hardy's real issues and using them as storyline, even if he did sign it off on it. The big issue, though, is the bloody doctor. Because I didn't catch this bit live because I was just waiting for the Twitter to suddenly go, okay, here comes the trying to find the right words. Here comes the IC title match, because that's all I really cared about. And I see the clips, and I just see somebody's tweet saying, I guess they hired this doctor off Fiverr. And I'm going, oh my god. I know of only one doctor that is on Fiverr. And I look at the image, and yeah, it's the comedy doctor that, as long as you pay him $5, will do something to make it look like it's professional. So much so that somebody just basically had, I'm sorry, son, you've got ligma balls, and then he dabs. And does terrible jokes for minutes upon minutes upon minutes. Because of course he does. Ugh. That's where it started, everybody. Now, if you give me a second, if I turn on desktop audio, turn off my webcam, and then switch that to that. Turn on my camera on Discord. Click that. No, click that. Then press that and switch over. And then move that there. Owen's actually back. Yes!
Don't ever dab on camera again.
Sorry. It's good when the doctor does it like endlessly with like, suck 'em a what, dude? Suck a these nuts. And it's just like it's so terrible, but the guy got paid $5 for it. But it's amazing that WWE used somebody that I know for being stupid on Fiverr to be a professional doctor.
Good God, someone needs to check him for Elvis medicine.
Bruce Pritchard, fuck off.
You know.
So then, actually important bit, tag title match. Well, sorry, no. Tag match with New Day versus Cesaro and Nakamura. New Day take the knee in the middle of the ring. Big E with an armband for Shukri Abdi. And Kingston with black armbands for both Breonna Taylor and Tamla Horsford. Which was really nice to see. And they, unsurprisingly, considering it's those four, they had a good tag match. The annoying thing is, Cesaro and Nakamura won because obviously they've got to face them at some point because lol. Not to say it, not to put anything away from the match, it was still good. But it's just, New Day have to lose because they have to have a mandatory tag challenge. Clearly. Otis and Tucker getting ready for the match later on. Mandy kisses Otis and gives him the briefcase. And then Tucker shows up and says you should cash it in tonight if the opportunity shows up. Then Sheamus and Jeff are brawling backstage. Officials ran in to break them up. Oh, something that I remember now, because I saw it on Twitter earlier today. East Coast and the UK, they got, the whole piss situation. Jeff on the West Coast just says, yeah, I have an alcohol problem, but I'll be, he does the line that he says. And then before you even get to the piss segment, they cut it out. And it just immediately jumps to the New Day. They get rid of everything involving the piss shit. So, God, I wish I was living on the West Coast. Then they do a very good video package for the IC title situation. And, sorry, Orton and Edge. I think the greatest wrestling match ever happened, and it was AJ beating Daniel Bryan to win the IC title. Annoyingly, it had 4 commercial breaks, but they gave it nearly 40 minutes. Which is at least good to see. They didn't try and sort of shove anything else with it. They gave it a heck of a lot of time. It delivered. It was damn good, which I expected. That might be the best match of the week. I can't wait for everyone to go, but this is supposed to be the greatest wrestling match ever, being blinded by shit. Just really well done. Styles Clash and Phenomenal Forum getting the win. But it really went back and forth. The two just worked perfectly with each other. Why couldn't we have that on the pay-per-view? Instead, they just dished it out on Fox for free. Renee interviews AJ and he just says he's phenomenal. I have no complaints with that. It was I didn't care who won or who lost. I knew it was going to get a good match. We did, so there we go. Then we do the recap of the Miz and Morrison crap from last week. And then Braun Strowman says, there's a lot going on tonight. Drug tests, new champions. And he likes Otis, but he's not in the mood tonight for Otis to cash in on him. Then we're setting up the ring for a Bayley and Sasha celebration thing. But then gets interrupted by Bliss and Cross. And said that they'll win at Backlash. Then the Iconics appear on the big screen. Does that count as an appearing on the other brand? Is that one of the 4 times? I don't know. And, they said how they beat Bayley and Sasha on Raw. And, they beat them down, sorry. They beat them for the titles as well. And if they don't want that to happen on SmackDown, being beat down like they did on Raw, maybe they shouldn't turn their backs on Bliss and Cross. And then they attacked them. And it's like, why is this still happening? That should have been before the last match. Then Miz and Morrison setting to do a new music video. Hey, hey, hey. Braun Strowman sucks or something like that. But then Braun Strowman sort of interrupts. I completely missed this. I don't know when this happened. But now he's got like a whole sort of runaway train gimmick. And then steam starts setting off like it's Becky Lynch. Because, steam train. And the fuck train has no brakes. I don't know why it's happening. And speaking of I don't know why this is happening, the 6-man with Strowman and Heavy Machinery beating Miz, Morrison and Ziggler, which had a distraction from King Corbin, not happy with Mandy stealing the crown, and saying that Rose is fantasizing about being with a man like Corbin, and I'm like, yeah. If it ever came out that Corbin is gay, that's going to be the most awkward bloody storyline ever. I don't think it is. I haven't verified. Otis eventually showed up towards the end from whatever happened backstage with Corbin. Otis winning with a caterpillar on Ziggler. And Strowman and Heavy Machinery with Mandy celebrate their win. Why the hell was that the main event when it should have been the IC title match? Maybe it would have... I was going to say maybe it would have helped the ratings, but it sort of reflected in that actually it had higher ratings than USA did, but then of course if it's on Fox you'd sort of expect it would be. The big tease, they did another Matt Riddle video package. Riddle makes his SmackDown debut next week. God, I hope it's against a good opponent. And then on the 205 Live front, Tony Nese beat Tyler Breeze, which was a solid match. But sort of, it was weird. There was sort of like an injured leg brought up at the start of the match, then got forgotten about for the sort of finish with Nese and whatever, because he went for a knee strike, which was the bad knee, but all of a sudden it wasn't bad, and then Nese wins, and then all of a sudden his leg's hurting, so whatever. And then Tahuti Miles beat Danny Burch, which delivered as you'd expect for the two. Tahuti getting a big win, maybe because Danny Burch is too focused on NXT. It's always confusing when you've got like people on multiple shows, isn't it, Charlotte? And then on main event, Liv Morgan beats Natalya, which was pretty good. Liv Morgan sort of Natalya making her look good. The only problem is Natalya's still doing her temper tantrum storyline crap, which it doesn't need. And then Shane Thorne versus Shelton Benjamin. which was a pretty good match. It's just annoying that Shelton isn't being given more a chance outside of main event. Why can't he job to Bobby Lashley or something rather than whoever else? Anyway, now that Owen's here, we can actually talk about the AEW stuff. We saved it till last.
Yay.
AEW Dark began with SCU beating Lowrider and Fuego del Sol, which was a good showcase of Lowrider and Fuego. I think they did.
Makes sense.
I think they did very well. No, but it's like they let them get their shit in and get their sort of showcase as to be sort of, maybe it's people that AEW will pick up, or maybe just other companies should pick up, sort of thing.
For sure.
Sky and Kazarian winning with the SCU later on Fuego, which is fair. And then it's official. Alan Angels is an AEW guy because Alan Angels is 5.
Yes.
Now
I have 0.
Now all we need is Angels to come out to the boy band 5 from the mid-90s from here in the UK.
I have 0 issues with this. Getting him a contract, regardless of what that took. With Stu Grayson and Evil Uno being back, finally, it feels like the Dark Order is more of a force to be reckoned with again.
Plus, we've now got a Dark Order member that knows how to wrestle, rather than that one that did the air punches on Bloody Dustin.
Just wait for Matt Classic to join the Dark Order as number 6.
Oh my word, that might be... God, if Matt Classic somehow becomes canon. Wasn't a great match, 5 beating Lee Johnson, in all honesty. But the idea is it's establishing the 5 character, which is what it did.
Yeah, Lee Johnson is a good hand, honestly. He's really stepped it up when it comes to these matches. Cody loves him, clearly on commentary. You could just tell.
Cody's all over the map.
Yeah, definitely.
Backstabber gets 5 the win. Afterwards, 10 hints a pump kick, I think, and then Reynolds and Suva did their tandem DDT. And Brody Lee is just looking happy. Santana and Ortiz beating Musa and Brady Pierce. I don't think this one worked as well as it could, because again, are we trying to establish that Musa doesn't work well in tag team stuff?
That's all they're giving him, and it seems like something they need to have him. Well, the thing is, if he's not ready for prime time, you pretty much hide any problems he has in a tag match. I get that. But his partners aren't working out very well for him.
Yeah.
Not at all. Just another showcase for Santana and Ortiz, as it should be.
Yeah, Street Sweeper. Pinning both of them. And then this is back. QT Marshall approaching Dustin and Brandy. QT's like, we don't have a tag match tonight. What's going on? And, I'm in a singles match because Ali told me that you're a legend, Dustin. You don't have to wrestle every week. And Ali's up all night making new Natural Nightmares t-shirts. I hope that Brandy and Dustin would wear them. And all the t-shirts are just QT Marshall, and then maybe sort of slightly peeking out as Dustin.
So it's the Russell Hammond Stillwater T-shirts come to life.
Then Butcher and the Bay beat Anthony Katina and Sugar Dunkerton. Although I guess, are we now going to have to just call him Pineapple Pete forever? I don't know.
Well, considering the fact that we're getting ahead of ourselves by me talking about this, I really think we found Orange Cassidy's tag partner down the line, especially given what's happening. I think we may have to.
Butcher and the Blade get the win, though. I guess to make him look strong for the following night.
Of course.
Then QT Marshall is beating Zach Clayton. Because of course he is.
Yep.
Ali in her sort of half shirt combo. Dustin and Brandy's shirts are too small. Ali's, saying that Marshall's working out 3 times a day. Marshall winning. Oh no, there was that bit when, Brandy sort of got bumped off the apron. And Ali at the same time, who's on commentary, goes, "Oh my god, I broke a fingernail." And Marshall is more interested in the fingernail than Brandy's wrist. Ali did get involved for the finish as well. Clayton went up to the high rent district, but Ali grabbed the ankle, which got converted into the QT cutter. And I don't know where this is going. QT Marshall is better than this. I've seen the documentary. Why are we doing this? Ali is fucking married.
They're not playing that up, first off. Number 2, I think that Natural Nightmares are undefeated as a tag team, and they're getting a World Tag Team title shot. The only thing that makes sense in my head is that something happens to Ali and QT leaves Dustin for dead, and that splits up the team. And then we have Dustin versus QT at Fyter Fest. Or maybe a mixed tag match at Fyter Fest. That makes more sense. Dustin and Brandy versus QT and Ali at Fyter Fest.
Anyway, now going to proper wrestling. Sonny Kiss and Christopher Daniels. Oh,
so good.
I'm so pleased that Sonny Kiss has been given a chance on this company now.
Speaking of that, we'll get to that.
Can't put Sonny Kiss on the main roster because all the bloody people will go, "We don't want this guy on our screen." It was just really good.
Match.
Yeah. Daniels blocking the pump kick into the Angels wins for the win. And Marco Stunt and Luchasaurus beating Avalon and Cutler. So 1, the streak continues. 2, still a good match.
No shock there.
Luchasaurus with the standing moonsault on, I think it was Avalon, wasn't it?
Yes.
For the win. And then Brian Cage is standing behind the commentary desk for CZW World Champion Jon Moxley versus the Ego Robert Anthony. Yeah! Throwback motherfuckers. Yes!
They're all about throwbacks in AEW. That's another thing I love about this.
This is the actual throwback. They did this on purpose because the same day GCW announced Backyard Wrestling 2 Electric Boogaloo. They did it on purpose, damn it.
Hey, there's the World coming out. And then we've got Backyard Wrestling on July 4th. I'm very happy to get back to GCW again.
Alternatives are starting to show up. If you don't like AEW or WWE, they're starting to show up and they're delivering, hopefully.
Yep.
Speaking of delivering, Moxley and Anthony was as good as I hoped it would be. It was just, it was good to see Robert Anthony given an opportunity to showcase his stuff on, a bigger stage than really what he's been able to do in freelance or anything on the indie scene, really.
Absolutely.
Over the past few years, and Moxley getting the win with a cloverleaf, which is interesting. And then of course Taz is like, John let Anthony hang around too long. Cage will destroy him based on that performance. And I'm like, no, he won't. If Cage wins, dear God, Tony Khan's just as bad as Vince. Tony Khan likes big sweaty man.
Nope, no, he doesn't.
Well, unless we get the sweaty man off. We know that can't be the case if the sweaty man off between Wardlow and Cage happens by the end of this year.
No, I don't think so. Requires one of them to... Well, actually, if you turn Wardlow babyface, that's a possibility, but not quite yet.
No, Cage turns babyface.
No,
he realizes, what am I doing with Taz?
It makes sense, Ashley. You're the only one that doesn't seem to get it.
Yes. That's Taz.
I'm very used to this network being the home of opinions that we're the only ones that have. I'm okay with that.
That's Taz. Anyway, speaking of Taz, colonoscopy.
Such a random episode of BTE. I won't even lie.
Well, we had the obligatory Colt Cabana cameo, except right at the start, rather than sort of randomly out of nowhere.
Chris Harrington and Kenny Omega are going to get in a straight-up fist fight before this year's over.
I love the fact, though, it's like, so how did that do in the ratings? Was it, what were the numbers? And Kenny's like, I want him off BTA, I want him off Dynamite, I don't want him here. And Harrington isn't happy. Then Brandon Cutler approaches the Gentleman's Club. Except we can't call it that. So, Cutler saying that they still owed him a bit for last week's BTA. And best friends run off, and Orange Cassidy's just like... And then it's like, what a rib. Oh God, here comes Matt Hardy.
Of course it's Matt Hardy time.
What is a rib, you say? Then we had a video package with the Stadium Stampede, and it's like, but we know? Then it goes serious, because Daniel starts going into intricate details about a colonoscopy that he had. Saying how he had a couple of polyps burned off, but his colon is otherwise healthy. That was the most random bit. That's a bit like...
I agree.
That's just like NWA Carneyland having the serious Eddie Kingston racism shouldn't be an issue in wrestling promo that started that off before stupid I'm gonna be the mayor of Carneyland shit. Then, again, we just have random highlights of Omega and Page versus Sabian and Havoc. But we saw it. Then, I guess, to try and retort to Matt Hardy, Alex Santana and Ortiz explain Botella. I don't know whether this is going to be a new weekly thing for them. Like, speaking, translating Spanglish and stuff.
I think that's going to be the case.
Then Cutler shows off his new custom die, made especially for his entrance. Best Friends and Orange struggle to come up with a bit, again. And of course, because he doesn't want a video call, Matt Jackson is trying to bust himself open God knows how many ways. Because he does not want to do a Zoom call.
I love the fact that it literally ends with him laying with a Band-Aid on his forehead in his hand.
Seems appropriate. And then moving on to Dynamite.
Yes.
Butcher and the Blade versus FTR.
My God, this was good.
This was good, and then the finish went a bit wrong. The weird thing is that the Goodnight Express, the former Shattered Machine, really didn't look great. I don't think Butcher did it right.
Andy Williams, okay, he was trying to hoist Andy Williams up, and he's a big guy anyway, so I don't think he had him ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked a little bit awkward, but they used the Mind Breaker, which is a nice Brainbusters reference. Good job with Spike Piledriver. And that's what they finished him off with. I did love the fact they used the freaking Powerplex, though.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Where's Arn Anderson? We need an Arn Anderson seal of approval.
I yelled. I was like, and it was funny because AEW on Twitter was like, it's like FTR showing a little bit of power and glory. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly right.
Owen marking the fuck out.
Oh my God, yes, that match was
because I'm saying it and he can't.
Was great. The match was great, and then plus the great thing about it was Tully and Arn were watching the whole time, and they were like taking notes, like looking on in approval, and then you see in the background Sean Spears just like staring at Tully like intensely, like what am I gonna do next? He's got his Barry Windham black glove, and
I couldn't get your reaction to it last week, but the way that promo ended last week with FTR, with Shivani going, but I thought it meant fuck the Revival.
Oh my God, that was amazing. I love the black glove for Sean Spears. I think that this is going to be a new resurgence for him. I know I've said this before. I think this time giving him the black glove, people that like the Blackjacks and like Barry Windham and just have had in the past, I really think it's going to work for him greatly. The question is, they're going to give him like a heart punch or anything like that just to make up for the fact that he's using a black glove.
Well, we'll see. So FTR get interviewed afterwards, but the Young Bucks enter.
This was cool.
Thanking them for the help a few weeks back and how they've carried tag team wrestling for the last 50 years. And then FTR jump them from behind. Havoc and Sabian run in. Then Hangman and Kenny run in. And everybody beats the shit out of Havoc and Sabian.
I thought this was leading to like an 8-man tag that was going to show up on Dynamite in the next week or so. But apparently we're not wasting the FTR matches right away. They're going to kind of string them out a little bit.
My issue is, do you put FTR versus the Bucks on Fyter Fest? Or do you try and somehow string it out to All Out?
All Out, for sure. Things I've been talking about for the last several weeks about having FTR and the Bucks work together, like not wanting to do it, but having to work together to stop a common bond, and then after that, they can have a respect match at All Out.
So then Dasher backstage with Natural Nightmares, who will face Omega and Page for the tag titles next week. But Ali's wearing, the Nightmare family jacket. And Marsha says, Ali's my girl. She's part of the family. It's kind of a disaster. And, it's... Dustin's like, look, focus on the title next week, not Ali.
Okay, Ashley, I want to see if you agree with this correlation here. I don't think AEW are going this direction because they have intelligence when it comes to their booking. However, I do believe that if this was another company up north, we would potentially see a video footage, like a surveillance camera, of Allie getting caught talking to somebody on the phone, kind of like how she's Rose McGowan's Sasha character in Ready to Rumble with David Arquette and Scott Kahn, basically trying to lure QT into a false sense of security, and then when she has what she wants, she's going to turn on him, and she's been with Butcher and the Blade all along, and that's when they reveal that she's married to Braxton.
But it's already common knowledge, and the only people that are watching are the hardcores that know.
Right, but I mean, to actually focus on it in a storyline is what I'm referring to.
Because with the viewing figures that they're getting, it's clear. But only the hardcores are watching at the minute.
Still gets them to win the ratings wars. That's all that matters.
Does it though?
As long as
the
TNT
ratings
is
war,
happy,
the ratings war was supposed to bring in interest. Combined viewership for both is lower than Raw and SmackDown.
Well, blame stupid NASCAR in the news, because that's the problem.
Blame America. Yes.
Seriously.
I approve. Blaming America.
Wrestling went up in the ratings until everything happened, and now it's back down again.
Well, it was down sort of anyway. It'd be interesting to see. I don't think it'd be down to the extent that it is, but it'd still be down because it's not WrestleMania. We've always seen that downturn. So then Shida and Statlander versus Nyla Rose and Penelope Ford, which was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Ford using the title as shenanigans with a fisherman suplex pin, which did actually look good. Which I guess...
gymnastic.
Go ahead.
Her gymnastic background gives her a really great bridge, and she utilizes it really well. Using moves like that is something that's a detriment to her character.
And of course, the manner of the pin obviously means, I'm guessing it's just as filler. It's probably going to be Shida versus Ford at Fyter Fest.
They did give her Wrestler of the Week this week, so that makes sense.
And then,
I'm okay with that, though.
And then bloody Pop Shove It 360. Yay!
So cool.
Darby Allin and Tony Hawk. Put him in the fucking game.
It's gonna happen.
Do it, Vicarious Visions. If not, he better be able to easily do in the Creator Skater mode. Please. The stuff of him all week. The bit when he jumped from a balcony into a pool. That was awesome. And then just doing random skate stuff. And then the actual clip where he's trying to do... he's trying to jump off a ladder just to do a basically, I guess, sort of boneless off a ladder.
Mm-hmm.
So he can land safe on the ramp. It takes a few times, but he eventually does it. That's awesome. More Britt Baker hype. Saying she's faced more challenges than Big Swole or anybody else in AEW. She's happy to be a role model for anybody in the company, but needs to be respected.
First, because I didn't get a chance to talk about it before because I missed the show. Can we put over the fact that Big Swole was wearing the Karen Ashley Yellow Ranger gear during that match?
Pretty fair.
I popped for that. I really did.
So, best friend / Gentleman Club. No, I guess it can't be Gentleman's Club because Trent isn't part of the Gentleman's Club. So your best friends beating Hager and POP somehow.
Because Orange Cassidy, that's how.
I guess. The power of Orange.
The ratings power of Orange. Good God.
Can we look at the? Can we get Colt over, and if he's got all the demographics of the viewers, can we have a look when it goes up and down the space?
That's why I think that we've got a pineapple orange tag team coming real soon, and that's going to be Orange Cassidy's first title in AEW.
And this is where I need to remember the issue that I had with this show. Why did we have a 4-man announce team for like the first hour?
It's funny because they mentioned that they were going to put Jericho back on commentary, and they had a reason for it.
Yeah, but the reason was the storyline stuff with Cassidy, because...
Right.
Because other than that, there was no reason.
Yeah, there was. The reason why is so he'd be closer to ringside so he could jump Orange at the end of the match.
Yeah, but couldn't he have just come out to just be commentary for that match? Not be on for like the whole hour before it.
Orange...
Because 4 voices was way too many for me to sort of concentrate on.
Jericho's commentary is proven, and it's proven with the ratings in the Decatur, Georgia taping. So it makes me think that they wanted to get as much out of Jericho on commentary as they could, given the fact they only had about an hour to use him.
Anyway, Pink Floyd the baseball bat shows up. Cassidy blading. Where was Matt Hardy giving everybody the actual facts like he did a few weeks back?
Can we not gloss over the fact that Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone were talking about the Andy Griffith show on commentary?
From out of nowhere.
I thought it was great. I'm a huge TV buff, so I was like, I love these commentary comments. Things I would say and have.
And then Jericho got a whole load of blood oranges.
Good Lord.
And beat the shit out of Orange Cassidy with them and said,
okay,
Blood Orange Cassidy has just been juiced.
Jericho went on social media this weekend and said that Owen Hart is living within the spirit of AEW. Okay. That spot right there reminds me of when Owen Hart was basically had that huge sack and he hit Mick Foley with it. So that storyline moving forward with beating an orange with oranges just writes itself. You have Pineapple Pete, you have Orange Cassidy working together. Let's say Jericho and Sammy win the #1 contendership this week. They beat Kenny and Hangman, and then Orange Cassidy needs a tag team partner, and that's where Sugar Dunkerton jumps the barricade, and then we get our tag match at Fyter Fest. And Jericho does not get pinned. Orange pins Sammy, and then Jericho and Orange Cassidy at All Out.
Possibility.
I like it. I think it works.
So then
and we got MJF and the Gun Club, apparently.
But MJF rightfully went, I've been undefeated for over a year. How come Jungle Boy gets a title shot?
He's not wrong.
I'm a great white shark swimming in a pool of minnows. And then Billy Gunn, except we have to call him Billy because copyright. And Billy Gunn says that he's a great white. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're that whale in the heart of the sea that gets killed. That does happen in that film. I can't even remember that film. It was years ago. The whale does get killed in that, doesn't it?
He's more of a shark when it comes to his experience level. I'm looking at it from that perspective.
And then Rock did his promo and Billy Gunn was forever tainted. The only nice bit was when Billy grabbed MJF's wrist and he's like, Wardlow! Help me! Then Dark Order's trying to recruit Colt. which it's more of a it's a shame because Sammy Guevara Colt Cabana should have been better than it was. But
I liked it. It could have been better.
The issue is it's just pushing the storyline more than actually having a good match, but incorporates the storyline. Because they kept sort of enhancing the fact that Cabana's making obvious mistakes. And that again, Cabana needs guidance. He needs the truth to set him free.
Yeah, he went for the Chicago Skyline and he got caught.
Now. He needs a 24/7 title now. Cross-brand it.
So the fact that he slipped on the Chicago Skyline was the only way that Sammy was going to get him up for the go to hospital.
Yeah, so bloody Sammy wants his music played. He's the best wrestler. Here comes Matt. We've got no problem with you. You're the future. You remind me of a young me. Realize your potential. You need to get away from Jericho. And he says, look, I can't trust you because you tried to kill me. Which somehow triggered him to go to version 1 briefly. And then back to Damascus and saying how he'd eat and delete him.
I will mash you up like I'm a fungo.
Yes.
Brian's favorite line.
But an interesting Janela video package.
I like this greatly.
He came to the company to be a star, but he's gone from wrestling Moxley to an afterthought. I've lost my way over the last 6 months. Sometimes I just think my best days are behind me. And then Sonny Kiss pulls up in a convertible and just says, get in. Cue yes roundabout. To be continued.
I mean, they're an undefeated tag team on Dark.
Yeah.
And Joey needs a little bit of guidance at this point. Maybe this allegiance with Sonny Kiss is going to lead somewhere. Not necessarily as a tag team, which is what I'm sure everybody else is thinking. But maybe this is going to be a little bit of, let's get Joey back into a main role. I hope so. I hope we get Cody and Janela for the TNT title.
Dasher finds Cabana. And he enters Brody Lee's dressing room. Tension mounting. Then they announce next week Billy versus MJF. I should just say MJF wins. Lol. Omega and Page versus Natural Nightmares for the tag titles, which obviously Omega and Page will win. A TNT title match, who knows? The one that I don't get, Jericho and Guevara versus Best Friends for a shot at the tag titles at Fyter Fest, even though the Best Friends already won that title shot for Fyter Fest at Double or Nothing's pre-show.
You're not paying attention. You read that the wrong way. It's for the Best Friends title shot. If Sammy and Jericho win, they get Kenny and Page at Fyter Fest.
I'm trying to work out why they're getting the shot though.
Because Trent and Chuck are so mad about what happened to Orange Cassidy, they want their hands on Jericho and Sammy, and they put up their title shot for it.
And then, of course, Young Bucks versus Havoc and Sabian.
That'll be fun.
Then Alex Marvez, why is he still here? With Moxley in the parking lot. I love the fact, I'm not happy. And it's not just because it hurts to sit on the toilet. Because of the fucking bruise.
Yes, giant bruise.
It's because it's not because of it hurts to sit on the toilet. It's because Taz is running his mouth. I'm miserable. But that misery makes me train harder and hit harder. And it pisses me off that Taz and Cage thinks that, Brian can beat me. I'm going to pop his head like a pimple. Then, of course, Taz shows up, and then Cage attacks him. And they brawl in the parking lot. And he's going to powerbomb him, and Taz goes, no, the message has been sent. And then Cage just went, fuck you, Taz, stage 1, fuck you, Taz. And just powerbombed him. So why is Taz managing Cage? There's the proof. He doesn't need Cage. He just beats the shit out of him anyway.
There's a reason he's there. He's there. He's the mouthpiece right now.
He is there because they're trying to get ECW people watching, but they aren't because those same ECW people are watching NASCAR.
I don't know the correlation between ECW and NASCAR. ECW and UFC, maybe. NASCAR, no.
Over 20 years, they've matured.
No. I don't buy that.
They've lost it. They can't think about wrestling matches. They just like watching cars go round anti-clockwise or clockwise over and over.
Hey, the FTR have a really nice Ford F-150 they can watch.
Is this where I bring up that NASCAR driver that threw a hissy fit because he can't race with the Confederate flag, so he retired?
He's retired. Yeah, good riddance to bad rubbish. So here's the thing, though. I have to mention that Brian Cage channeled his inner Davey Boy Smith when he did this run-in because he was shirtless with jeans and boots.
Yeah.
Looking like the British Bulldog in his last WWF run.
I'm trying to think of what that bloody stupid line was that bloody Bulldog did when he was going backstage at the one time when it didn't make sense. He just did some promo when he was just walking clearly from showing up off the bus sort of thing. It's on the verge of that kid going, the Bulldog's gonna win, whether he wants to or not. Like,
that kid got an action figure, thank you very much.
It's some mad shit that he said, I don't know. Anyway, Mark Quinn versus Cody. Which was interesting, because Cody was like, I can't think of those 9 things. It's like polite evil, because he was being heel, but at the same time it was, he was only working heel in this because I guess it made more sense for him,
right,
to be heel, to let Mark Quinn as the up and comer sort of get his shine. But they had a very good match.
Oh yeah, they did. Mark Quinn is a very underrated singles guy.
Yeah.
The 450 splash on the ramp looked great.
And then the shooting star press attempt that Cody avoided. Quinn crashes into the mat and puts on the ankle lock. Doesn't go with the crossroads or anything like that.
Nope.
Gets a submission.
He wanted to get the tap out instead. Finish came really out of nowhere, though.
Well, probably because they were running out of time, because now it's time for Nitro. But for once, in a good way, because Jake Hager shows up.
Yes, I can't wait for this.
Attacks on. Cody goes after him. Hager attacks him. Cassidy, Quinn and Hardy are all there making the save. Except then and Santana Ortiz and Sammy show up. And, make the save all together, including Cody using a chair on Jake. And then Cody went, I think I know what you're after. You want a TNT title match at Fyter Fest. You're on. And that's how
I'm okay with...
We'll see you on Thunder.
I'm okay with Hager getting 2 title shots within the span of the beginning of his career.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hitman for the Inner Circle, so it makes perfect sense.
I feel more comfortable with him going for the TV title, though, than the world title.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
I see what you mean.
Because I still don't think that match gelled well with him and Moxley. I think that was two different sort of styles.
It was a different type of match,
Because
but
Jake
I liked what they did
is
with it.
not a powerhouse. Cage is. Very
Oh,
much
for
so.
sure. He's going to toss Moxley around for sure. I wish I was able to go. Not quite yet. Soon, but not quite
Soon
yet.
trademark. Soon trademark. So some quick new. Well, I'll do the UFC stuff before we go to the rest of the news to close it out. Conor McGregor retiring again because he's quote not excited about MMA until they have audiences and suddenly he can get a big pay-per-view figure. Then all of a sudden I think he'll be back. And then oh my god, it's official. Fight Island! And the rumours were true. Or sorry, the theories were true. The location is the Yas Marina Island in Abu Dhabi. And it's going to start from July 11th, UFC 251. Followed by fight nights on Wednesday, July 15th. Saturday, July 18th. And Saturday, July the 25th. So basically, the International Fight Week will be in Abu Dhabi rather than Vegas, as it would have been. The interesting twist, the shows will air in America in their traditional time slots, which means the main card will start 6 a.m. local time, which means the prelim fighters will be fighting local time at like 2 or 3 in the morning. God, their body clocks are going to be bloody good. So the Octagon will be on the beach of sorts. It won't be like directly on the beach. There won't just be an octagon made of sand. But that's where it'll be basically located. The main card though has been revealed for it. Paige Van Zandt versus Amanda Ribas. Thug Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade in their rematch. Petr Yan versus Jose Aldo for the vacant bantamweight title. Alex Volkanovski defending the featherweight title against Max Holloway in their rematch from last December. And then Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. That's that quickly over beating Tyron Woodley, even though it went 5 rounds. Somehow Gilbert is gonna be facing Usman in like 3 weeks' time. I question that. I know he didn't get that much of a beating, but like, who knows? Apparently it should have been Leon Edwards, the UK fighter, but because of the UK travel lockdown, even though they've said that like elite athletes wouldn't be exempt to it, or would be exempt to the whole lockdown issues, hence why they'll be able to do Formula 1 over here without having to do the sort of what they call it, quarantine, the 14-day sort of quarantine period. Who knows? Apparently also, a few days later, Dana White on ESPN said that Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier 3 is set for the August 15th show, but there's no location known yet. Apparently Conor McGregor could have fought at UFC 249 as a replacement for either Ferguson or Habib, but chose not to because Conor said, "I'm not a replacement fighter." So that's why Gaethje got the opportunity. On the Jones and Masvidal contract situation, he was unhappy since both signed new deals relatively recently. how Jones signed a new deal less than a year ago and has 8 fights remaining, which contradicts what John Jones says. And Masvidal, having signed his deal 7 months ago. And in terms of signing deals, Kamaru Usman has signed a 6-fight deal, apparently. So last week, we already covered Nunes beating Felicia Spencer. Apparently, one person bet $1 million on Nunes to win. Oh, and the thing is, he put up $1 million. All he was going to win was $166,000. He did, of course, because Nunes won. But apparently, that's the largest bet ever taken for an MMA fight through the William Hill agency. Because obviously, Vegas was only just opening up then, so you couldn't really get the odds from there properly. Holly Holm and Derek Bronson are set to have opponents for a show on August the 1st. I guess the idea being that Holly Holm's set to face Irene Aldana. I guess the idea is if Aldana wins, she'll be the next challenger for Nunes. Habib's coach, Ali Abdelaziz, has said that Khabib's father has shown some improvement after being hospitalized due to complications regarding the COVID and all that. Nate Diaz responded to the announcement of the Usman-Burns fight. Quote, "This is what's wrong with people claiming they're fighters settling for less because they know they're not worth shit. You should have fought the next guy in line, not the guy who would take less because he's told to. That's why no one will remember you guys. This isn't a title fight." He also added, quote, "I get paid more than both of you together, and fuck Reebok." I can't wait for him to suddenly be in Reebok gear when he next fights in UFC. We'll see. Bisping has announced he will be making his pay-per-view commentary debut at UFC 251. So whether Rogan isn't going to Abu Dhabi, we'll see. I'm not sure. Or whether Bisping's going to be replacing Cormier, because if Cormier's training up for UFC 252. So Dana White talking about the Fight Island not being directly on the beach. Quote, "You couldn't put the lighting grid on a beach. You could try it. I don't think it's going to turn out very well. I'm afraid of the elements. I'm into the comfort and safety of an arena." Well, if it's a Fight Island, how can you do it in an arena? That's I've seen Survivor too many times. Now the big issue is what's happening, tonight, probably just starting now. UFC on ESPN 11, the main card at least. Oh, sorry, not UFC on ESPN 11. UFC on ESPN 10, is it? If I can find it. Oh, UFC Vegas 2, they're calling it, because that isn't complicated at all. Jessica I versus Symphonia Cavillo is main eventing. But the big issue with this is the problem that cropped up again. And they were supposedly had stopped this issue. So, before the weigh-ins, Jordan Griffin was due to face Derek Minner. But Minner got pulled from the bout due to unspecified health issues. If I can, get the notes. He apparently woke up and started violently throwing up. And the doctors basically said you were not in any shape to fight, which is probably fair. Zadira Adashev missed weight by 3 pounds by the looks of it in his match against Tyson Tyson Nam. So that's going ahead at catch weight 138. Which is means that there'll be a 20% fine on pay money. Then Robertson Let me see if I can get this on the card. Carl Robertson, who was taking on Marvin Vettori in the co-main, somehow in a 185-pound weight category managed to weigh in 4.5 pounds over at 190.5. There is a fight also on the undercard with Merab Deshevili versus Gustavo Lopez, because that opponent was only brought in last minute because of personal reasons. Ray Borg had to drop out because they basically announced it ahead of time, and because there wasn't that much thing. They made it to a catch weight 140-pound fight. So because it was Dashevili was 139 and Lopez was 140, that's all fine and there's no fines there. But then the main, Jessica I came in 1/4 pound overweight. The really depressing thing is, she did this. She had to be naked, so they had to put curtains around her for the weigh-in. And then as she posed, she literally said, "I'm sorry guys, I can't stand up for long. That's me done." She wrote on Instagram, "It was freezing in the arena and I was cold. I have no body fat on me right now, especially after the weight cut. I apologize for the 0.2 pound over. I'm even mind blown. I should have peed before I got on the scale, so thank you everyone. I can't wait to perform tomorrow." Why is weight cutting still an issue when UFC said they were going to solve it? And this isn't even like a main sort of card, but the fact that we had, one minor one, but the person seemed to be, in really bad shape. And then the other two missing weight by, 3.5 and 4.5 pounds is fucking huge. I'd say it's unacceptable. I don't know what you think, Owen. Not that you're much interested, but so certainly the health and well-being of fighters should be paramount than putting a card on just because they're 1/4 pound overweight. Ugh. So that's happening tonight. They've also revealed the matches for the next 2 weeks. UFC on ESPN 11 and 12 for the 20th and 22nd. Curtis Blades versus Alexander Volkov is main eventing next Saturday's UFC on ESPN 11. I also see Raquel Pennington on that card as well. And Bilal Muhammad, Jim Miller as well. And then Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker, main eventing UFC on ESPN 12 on the 27th. Mickey Gall's also on that card. Aspen Ladd, Sarah McMahon. All that good stuff. In terms of the wrestling news, if I can scroll through. Elias out of action due to a torn pectoral muscle, legitimately. Not just for storyline with Jeff Hardy. So that's writing him out for quite a while. My guess is normally how pec injuries go. I don't think you may not see him till the Royal Rumble, which is a shame. MLW officially announced the signing of Saeed El Sabah, even though they did it in the MLW thing from last week. Court Bauer said in a press release, Saeed is somebody who caught his eye in 2017 when he wrestled for them, and they've been pursuing signing him ever since. And after 3 years, he's officially part of the MLW family and part of the Injustice stable. Then the big news. Mainly the only reason why I was up for the end of Raw, because New Japan had their... I love the fact they said, live press conference, even though it was a YouTube premiere. So, whatever. New Japan is coming back, and it's actually back this Monday. The first show being a Together Project special, which, did you see any of the news from this, Owen?
A little bit. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things going on, given the fact that they're going to go back to empty arena shows all the way up until actually being the first promotion to do shows with fans.
Well, first New Japan one.
First global promotion to do matches with fans.
Probably. I don't know what the full schedule is for some of the other sort of, what Stardom's working is and whatever. But no, the Together Project special is basically New Year's Dash. The card will be announced when the show starts. So that's when we'll find out what it is. But then the New Japan Cup, which is getting some other title, I can't remember what they're calling it, the New Japan Together Cup or something, or the United Cup, because they're only being able to use basically mostly Japanese talents, because most of the international talents that they would have had can't be part of the show,
right?
Barring a few exceptions. We are getting junior heavyweights combined in for the New Japan Cup, but the schedule basically is, I think it's basically Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday every week until mid-July. The finals being on July 11th, with Dominion on July 12th. Both the finals and Dominion itself will be at Osaka-jo Hall and will be the first shows to allow fans into the arena, but will only be a third capacity, which according to Meltzer is roughly about 4,000 or so. Sugabayashi, the chairman, also said that the Hokkaido tour has been cancelled. Basically just because of the the stuff is too able to. I'll do it in a bit. But the card itself is interesting. So, I'll see what your thoughts on this are, Owen. So on the left side of the bracket, starting off on June 16th, so this Tuesday, we have Togi Makabe versus Yota Tsuji, which I'm guessing is probably going to be a Makabe.
I'd say so.
Ishii versus El Desperado, which I'd probably say Ishii, which would be an interesting second round match between the two of them. Toriano versus Giardo.
Toriano.
And Tomoaki Honma versus Hiromu Takahashi.
I think Hiromu.
Yeah. Then Wednesday, the left side continues with Okada versus Gedo. So interesting storyline there.
Easy win for Okada.
Then Nagata versus Suzuki, which will be a great match. Which I wouldn't complain whether I got Okada versus Nagata or Okada versus Suzuki in the second round. I don't care. I think it's Suzuki. My guess is Suzuki, in which case I don't, still would be a good one with both of them. Yuya Uemura versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru. I'm guessing probably Kanemaru on that one.
Probably.
And then, from out of nowhere, Taiji Ishimori versus Gabriel Kidd. That's why it helps to be a young boy in Japan.
Yeah.
Right place at the right time, and he gets to be in the New Japan Cup. Hell yeah. Kidd isn't winning, but I'm just pleased to see he's part of the tournament. Then, the following Monday, the right side of the bracket starts off. probably with the more interesting, the strongest day. So if you've got to watch New Japan at any point, watch next Monday, the 22nd, because we've got Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Taichi, of which I honestly think Taichi could get an upset win here. Maybe. Because we've also got Ibushi versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Why do I think that's going to go to a draw?
No, I think they're probably... Well... It might not, but we'll see. Taguchi versus Sanada.
Sonata, for sure.
And then Sho versus Shingo. So basically, Shingo takes the place of Ospreay. The key thing is, Sho and Shingo still had a great Super Junior match last year as well. So I am hoping that they're going to have just as good a match in the full-fledged hybrid cup. So I hope that that'll be good. Then on the Tuesday, Tenzan versus Yoshihashi. That'll probably be a Yoshihashi. Yo versus Bushi. That'll probably be Bushi.
Bushi.
Kojima versus Evil. Which will probably be Evil. And then Goto.
Evil.
Hiroki Goto versus Yujiro Takahashi.
Goto.
Which will probably be Goto. Then that continue. The Wednesday, the left side of the bracket have their second round. Then Monday, July 1st, the right side of the bracket has their second round. Tuesday, July 2nd, the quarterfinals. Wednesday, July 3rd, the semi-finals. And then, as previously mentioned, July 11th for the final. The great thing is, for all of these, bloody Suji Bayashi goes, one special attraction will also be taking place for every single one of them. Like, once, apart from, I think, the semi-finals, when they go, 2 special attraction matches will be happening. My feeling, even though we'll obviously talk about it, next week more so, as we build up to the climax, I am wondering if Hiromu is winning this, so they can still do the match between him and Naito that they would have done at the anniversary show. Because they realise they can't do a lot of the storylines that they may want to do, because obviously not all the wrestlers can make it in and whatever, so... But I believe that, if you're up early enough, everybody, most of the New Japan cards will be starting at 6 a.m. Eastern. So it's good breakfast television. One name that is missing, though, Tiger Mask. He'll be out of action for the time being, apparently due to colonic diverticulitis. So Tiger Mask is Brock Lesnar. Confirmed. MLW signed a US streaming deal with DAZN. The boxing streaming site. Bellator's on there, obviously, and apparently there's also some highlight stuff for Major League Baseball. So DAZN with the big deals. Raw ratings were up. Still, it meant it's the 4th lowest viewership in the history of the show. So, the key thing to note, that 3rd hour drop-off was nearly 200,000 viewers. Which I feel sorry for Asuka. I don't feel sorry for Charlotte. Johnny Walker, Mr. Wrestling 2, passing away at the age of 85. Which is, it's great because, he wrestled since, he made his debut in apparently the mid-50s. Retired, then became the grappler, coming back from retirement under a mask, then going back into retirement in the 70s, and then Mr. Wrestling 2, and then Mr. Wrestling 1, showing up in Florida and Georgia, and did some Mid-South stuff with Magnum TA, retired in 1990 eventually. The favourite wrestler of Jimmy Carter. Then this was one from out of nowhere. Daniel Rodimer, who was part of season 4 of Tough Enough, apparently is running for Congress successfully because he became the Republican candidate for a Democratic, currently a Democratic seat. He's basically the Republican contender for the thing. So more wrestlers not involved in the White House. Who knows? Then the interesting one, which I'm interested with your thoughts on, Owen. Paul Heyman getting ditched and Bruce Pritchard leading creative for everything, and the writing crew will be writing for everything. The interesting little tidbit that I got from Heel by Nature, apparently there's been signs of this happening for weeks. Vince doesn't like Paul. You know, Heyman was hired to create new stars, and he said it would take 18 months or longer to build them up. And McMahon mentioned in his conference that Raw was introducing new talent and it would take time to get them over. And apparently, Vince isn't happy that they didn't get over immediately. Which has my fears partially confirmed, because apparently Charlotte's getting pushed again on Raw. As if it wasn't already with the booking. I don't know. Your thoughts, Owen?
You really think I'm even interested in this at all?
Well, the knock-on effect apparently for this as well. Andrade and Apollo Crews, who actually been having good matches of late, are going to be on the pre-show tomorrow. Not on the main card. I don't know what to think.
This isn't good. This isn't good at all. This is going to get worse. Apparently, USA's not happy.
You know, Seth's just getting pushed as if he wasn't already over. Charlotte's getting pushed. It's just the same names. So, who knows? Total Bella's got renewed for a 6th season. I'm amazed that that's going on. This is an interesting one that's cropped up again from Heel by Nature. According to Fightful Select, because they just borrowed the news off them, Tessa was apparently told to send video promos for the current Impact tapings that they did, which partly aired this week. Because obviously they wanted her to do some sort of promo regarding her title situation and the match for the 5-way at Slammiversary.
Right.
But apparently she didn't. The quote was, Tessa was asked to send in promos for the recent set of tapings, but Fightful was told that just didn't happen, and to also not be surprised if things didn't progress past that. So it's as if she's won the title and she's holding it hostage? Mate, I don't know. The issue that they've currently got is Tessa Blanchard's residing in Mexico. And given the state of the pandemic over there at the minute, in terms of rising numbers of infections and everything, I don't know how she's going to be able to sort of leave and be able to go back in the short term if they are going to do it. So, and if she was told to do something just to, you know, build to maybe something happening, and that she apparently didn't even bother, maybe everybody saying what they said about her might be true. Is she a bitch? Who knows? But yes, the big thing for SmackDown, the viewing figures for the 2 hours pretty much stayed the same. It was like 2.03 and right below 2 for the second hour. Then there was this interesting one as well, another Fightful one. Shawn Michaels got into a heated discussion with an NXT producer. This NXT producer said, quote, "Everybody already gets treated the same, so why should anybody be complaining about racial injustice?" Which Shawn was not happy about, apparently, and said that, you know, he explained inequality and systemic prejudice, which caused the discussion to get very heated. And, you know, Shawn still worked with the producer during the event, but considering we also heard, apparently, we know why Krista Joseph left the writing team. Apparently he was on a Zoom call with a few other execs, the Senior VP of E-Commerce and Venue Merch, and the VP of Creative Services. Apparently he said something that he shouldn't have. Vince got told, and Krista Joseph got fired. Who then tweeted, "Totally dodged a bullet. Life is better than no life. After 10 years away, wasn't really into giving my life to the unpredictable whims of one person, but I believe in Bruce Pritchard and his vision." So, I don't know what's going on there. And then, more exclusive news from the bloody Major Figures Wrestling podcast. It is Major Figures, right?
Yeah, Major Wrestling Figure
podcast. We've got it right, wrong way around. Zack Ryder revealing that WWE phoned him up and said, "Can we use your pool for the Otis and Mandy Fast Times at Ridgemont High skit?"
Yep.
And then it's like they found another pool in Florida. How many? There's a shit ton of pools in Florida. You got a doctor for SmackDown off Fiverr. Oh, is money getting that tight? I really hope that the Fiverr doctor actually only got paid $5. Can we verify that? Oh my god. And then finally, to close it out, because Owen's probably saying we're already going late. We have to go late because we need to talk about GCW. Because by the next time we talk, which hopefully should be next Sunday, this will have already happened.
And I will have watched it.
The World on GCW Part 2, Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Celebration Plaza Amphitheater. The guidelines are very good. At least 12 hand sanitizer stations. It's bring your own chairs. There will be like select food available, but people are allowed to bring their own as well. Those that buy tickets as part of a group will be able to sort of sit together. But they'll also do the appropriate social distancing for those that need to. And we have most of the card confirmed already. Effie versus Alley Cat. Dickinson versus Manders. Atticus Cougar and Ricky Shane Page for 440H versus the Second Gear Crews of Matt Justice and Mance Warner. Oh,
that's gonna be good.
Mansa and Justice and Page.
Man, they get their hands on Ricky Shane Page. That's gonna be the best thing.
Atticus is the unknown factor here, but Ricky Shane Page, Mansa, and bloody Matt Justice are not. Myron Reed versus Blake Christian. Jimmy Lloyd taking on Alex Zane. And Spider Nate Webb versus Nick motherfucking Gage. And although not listed in a match, he will be wrestling due to the success of the Acid Cup. Ben Carter will be part of the card as well, but we don't know who he's facing yet.
We don't have any opponents yet, but I'm sure more matches as the week progresses.
And then as Owen previously mentioned, they also announced this week Backyard Wrestling 2. Please tell me they're going to call it There Goes the Neighborhood. Then again, ICP might get unhappy. Being broadcast from Backyard, USA. Which won't be DJ Hyde's farm.
Oh, God, no.
It'll be from somewhere on the 4th of July. Which appropriately is a Saturday.
Yeah.
GCW is back. New Japan is back. Just watch them. Just watch it. Watch them. If your television stuff isn't going there, go on New Japan World. Go on Fight TV. Watch it. Watch stuff on there. Watch some crazy stuff. So there we go. That's your lot for this week.
Yep.
Owen and myself will be back next Sunday to cover fallout from Backlash, continuing build on the AEW front to Fyter Fest, Impact's road to whatever the hell they're doing at Slammiversary. I'm still wondering with all the teasers and everything and all that build. Plus, Carneyland might be interesting for a change. And, of course, the MLW stuff that I couldn't cover tonight because it was happening basically as we were doing the show. So we will have that and whatever next week's is because I don't know what was part of that show tonight. I know it was Lucha Brothers tonight, but I don't know who they're going to be focusing on for next week's archive footage and whatever. But I will be back at least myself tomorrow.
Yep.
Doing reactions, watching along, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully, that's the thing I forgot to mention. They're doing another watch along tomorrow for the WWE Backlash show. I looked at the numbers last week for Takeover watch along. They were like, it's going to be big. There was maybe 1,000 people watching on YouTube. And then I went to Facebook, and there was about 100. And then I went to Twitter, and there was about 200. I didn't even check on whether there were... Oh, no, there was also like 100 on Twitch. So barely anybody was watching. So somehow if you found us here talking about this, watch us instead. We'd like to have at least 100 viewers rather than you watching on Twitch. Plus, I might even make it funny. I might be able to get Billy up to hopefully join me this week. He was a bit too knackered and ill last week, so best wishes to him and whatever. Well, I know I can wish him best wishes because I know of his situation, but that's staying a secret. Just like QT Marshall and why he's over. It's a secret to everybody. So yeah, greatest wrestling match ever, even though it's pre-taped. Tomorrow. In terms of other content, I've still got to do reactions to... I'm saving the reactions on all the gaming stuff until it's all actually happened. So, although I might do a separate video on the PS5 stuff, because I've had time to sink in, and let the actual news come out from that, because there was a lot of stuff that got very confused within the first 24 hours of that press conference video thing happening. So I'll probably be shooting that to go up in the next few days. AJ's got movie reviews and verses galore. How far are we nearly done on the Stephen King short story stuff? Do you know, Owen?
We're almost there. We've got a couple weeks left.
I was gonna say because I know he did a few short stories, but it's like how many? Stephen King's gonna write one that's gonna get filmed like guerrilla style, and AJ's gonna have to do it within the next 2 weeks. The award stuff. We're counting the days towards that. I mean, especially the news this week. We're actually gonna get 10. Officially. At least from 2022. Anyway. And stuff for changing diversity. Somehow we'll have to remember that in 2 months when we actually do the first video. In the build up to that. Make a mental note in my head. Snack snashes from me, hopefully. Certainly sipping snacks, and Voices of Liberty showing up eventually.
I've got 7 videos still to come, but I'm open before I put them out.
Right.
Probably next month. Actually, I'll think I'll do 6 next month because I'll put up a something for July 4th appropriately.
Something to do with GCW.
I'll be watching GCW
live watch
July
along
4th.
of GCW Backyard Wrestling. It launched Alex Zane's career 12 months ago. Let it do the same this year. We'll see. Bring back no legs. That's what I say. Hashtag bring back no legs. So with that, Owen, finish us off.
Oh boy. So fingers crossed for the best, and I'll explain more to that in the very near future. So I wanted to tell everyone thank you for joining us tonight, whether live or in archive. You can follow Ashley on Twitter at Ash is my name UK. Follow me on Twitter if you'd like at Saroan Disney. And in a world where there are a billion wrestling podcasts, we're very pleased that once more tonight you've chosen a Popcast. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for listening. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.
Hang on. Fandom and orange. But never forget, everyone is different. Everyone is good. That's Tokyo Cyber Squad. Yes, sir.